Great. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and get started. Hi, everyone. This is month 4 of 6. Wow, I can't believe it's not officially even summer, but the summer growing season is flying by. So I want to introduce no stranger to our program. This is Gina Taylor. And Gina, you are with Jackson County? Okay, that's what I thought. And she's a good friend of Lisa Bell, who couldn't be with us tonight. But Lisa invited Gina to come back and speak with us tonight about heart healthy cooking, or farm to table cooking, whatever you want to call it. You know, dragging out those skillets and pots and putting your garden harvest to good use. So before I turn this over to Gina, does anyone have any questions or reflections? How are things going so far? Everyone's garden looking good from all this rain, I hope. Lori says thumbs up. I can't see Tara, Cassandra, and Shayla, but I'm assuming that your silence means things are going well. All right, so I will turn this over to Gina. And Gina, if there's anything you need me to do, pin or whatever, just let me know.
Okay, thanks, Lacey. I appreciate it. Welcome everybody tonight. I'm so glad you're with me, and I will give you a report on my garden. I planted my garden really late. We just put it in last week, and it was the day before the rain started, thank goodness. And things are really coming up nicely. Last year, I had about 120 tomatoes in my garden. Why? I have no idea. That was the dumbest thing ever. Oh, no, that was the second dumbest thing ever. The dumbest thing ever was that somebody gave me a whole bunch of free tomato plants, and I think I have 90 this year, even though I said I wasn't going to do this again. So, oh my God. And my husband insisted that we only put 2 squash and 2 zucchini, and we have a 150-foot row of squash and zucchini. So if anybody needs any, let me know. I'll make sure I get you some. I don't know what I was thinking. I just can't, I hate for plants to rot or to go to waste. And so I just couldn't help myself. So I've got everything under the sun planted, and everything's coming up. My beans, we planted bean seeds, and they're already about 2 or 3 inches tall, which is miraculous to me. I think the gardening process in general is miraculous. So I was really happy to get my garden in, and now bring on the weeds, I guess. All right, so tonight, Lisa asked me to talk about heart healthy cooking. So I'm gonna do a very, very brief PowerPoint just to give you some of the more salient points about how to eat healthier. So I'll go ahead and get that started. Let's see, share screen. Okay. And please, if you have questions, feel free to either unmute yourself or put them in the chat. Either one's fine with me. This is the lesson, mainly the first lesson in this curriculum that we do called Simple Cooking with Heart. It's called the Quick Cook Dinner. Let me move my little toolbar up here out of the way. Okay. All right. So this is a really simple recipe that I'm going to show you all tonight after this very brief PowerPoint. And I think you'll like it. My family loves this dinner. Recently, my husband and my son and I, my son's 20, all 3 of us decided to start using Noom because we're all overweight. And I was actually getting to the point where I couldn't walk from here to there. It was pretty terrible. And so we're also walking every day. I have a great support group here at work. There are 3 of us who walk about 3 miles every day. And it's really showing great results. And we're using a lot of these principles at home with cooking just because we want to be healthier. I went to the doctor recently, and I'm diabetic, but my A1C has always been around 7 or below. That's what they want you to be, 7 or below. And I went to the doctor and it was 9.7. And I was shocked. I couldn't believe it because I actually had already lost a few pounds and I didn't know what was going on. She kind of chalked it up to either COVID, having had COVID, or menopause. Either way, I wasn't happy. So we all decided to start losing weight. And honestly, if you're diabetic, that's one of the easiest and best ways to get your A1C down. So that's what, long story, but that's where I am. All right. So a few things I just want you to know are, let me get this out of the way too. So number one, number one thing you can do is cook at home, because it'll help the nutrition and health of you and your family, because you know what you're putting in it. You can control everything that goes in it. You know, when you go to a restaurant, you get at least a double portion everywhere you eat. So that automatically is unhealthy. You want to make sure you keep your portion sizes controlled. You also want to know what's in the food. And so when you cook at home, you know what's in the food. And when you compare food labels and start choosing processed foods wisely, honestly, when you go on the path that I'm on right now, it's really hard to eat processed foods because they are so many calories. So that's a really important part of this whole thing, is look at the food labels, look at the ingredients, and make sure that what you're eating is worth it, because there's a lot of hidden sodium in everything, in a lot of things we eat. I just saw a presentation recently about the new USDA nutrition guidelines, and the presentation indicated that one of the highest sources of sodium in our diets is sandwiches. So that's not only make it a home sandwich, but Subway, McDonald's, all those things that we eat are just absolutely loaded with sodium. And you definitely want to get your sodium under control so that you can make sure that your heart lasts as long as you need it to last. So one couple of the ways you can reduce sodium when you're cooking at home is just to add other spices. And I know sometimes that's hard, especially if you're not big on cooking to begin with. But you know, my advice is find some spices that you really like and use those in place of salt, or just reduce the salt and add lots of other spices. So we're going to be doing a recipe today that's really simple, and we'll talk about that. All right. Like I said, control the portions. When you cook at home, you know exactly how much you're eating. When you go to restaurants, there's a lot more food. One tip that I like to tell people at home, and this really, really works, is use smaller plates. You know, when you have dinner plates, that if you're like me and maybe you're a little lazy, you like to use paper plates, well, you can buy paper plates that are significantly smaller than the big paper plates. We eat with our eyes first. So when we're looking at the food on the plate and we see a full plate, it's more satisfying to us because we think we're getting more food. So if you eat less food and put it on a smaller plate, it actually works the same way. Sometimes you have to trick yourself, you know, and that is a great tip to do that, is to use a smaller plate. Okay, so when you're eating meats, try to get fresh, lean meats over processed ones. Any processed foods you eat, lunch meat, any of those types of things, they are full of sodium. So when you choose fresh, lean meats, chicken breasts, skinless meats, sirloin, things like that, you're definitely going to not only reduce the sodium, but you're going to reduce the fat as well. Try dairy products with less fat. And I put reduced fat gradually because a lot of people get very upset over the whole fat-free, low-fat dairy thing, because all they've ever drank is whole milk, or all they've ever eaten is full-fat cheese. I don't recommend that you go from whole milk to skim milk in one step, because for one thing, if you have kids and they're drinking whole milk, they're going to be very upset with you. And it's hard to get kids in particular to understand that milk is, the flavor does not change when you go from whole milk to skim milk, but the way it feels in your mouth is significantly different. If you're used to drinking whole milk, the mouthfeel is different than drinking skim milk, and it looks different too. A lot of people, of course, call skim milk, you know, white water or whatever. But if you're going to try to go that direction for yourself or with your family, just, you know, step down to 2% milk, or low fat cream cheese or sour cream or whatever. Don't go straight to the bottom, because nobody's going to be happy with that. This one's kind of tough. Try to find poultry that has not been injected with sodium solution. They do that so the chickens will weigh more and you can pay more for them. It's a sneaky little trick that the poultry industry does. If you have a local poultry producer, that's obviously going to be the best because you're going to get the most fresh chicken or turkey or whatever you're buying that you can get. But otherwise, try and look at the ingredients on the package and see if they've been injected with sodium solution, because that's a hidden source of sodium that you might not even realize. Like I mentioned before, you can use less salt when you're cooking at home. Cut back on ready-made condiments like soy sauce and dips and dressing, ketchups and all that kind of stuff. Or a lot of times you can find low sodium versions of those. One of the things I'm using tonight in this recipe is soy sauce, and I did find it's called light soy sauce. I think Kroger calls it light. Others call it reduced sodium, but it's basically the same principle. Again, read the nutrition and ingredient labels so you can see exactly what you're getting and what you're preparing. Prepare food at home as much as possible. And this is a key, and a lot of people don't do this, but eat breakfast every day. It will help you maintain a healthy weight if you eat breakfast. I've been drinking, I found these Premier protein shakes. They're only 160 calories and they're low in sugar, so that's good for my diabetes. And I've mainly been drinking them every day. Some days I think I really need to chew something for breakfast. And so I try to choose something different. But eating breakfast will prevent a lot of your other problems during the day. For example, if you skip breakfast and you are really hungry at lunch, you're going to eat more. And you might eat things that aren't as healthy for you. So then your blood sugar goes up and it goes right back down, and that's not good for maintaining. So that's just another little tip. Whole grains are very important. Whole grains are ones that control 3 parts of the grain. They have the bran, the germ, and the endosperm. Now, when you have a whole grain, nothing is removed during the processing. But if you're eating regular white bread or anything like that, they do remove the bran and the endosperm, or the bran and the germ. So all you're left is with the endosperm, and it has nearly no nutritional value. So no nutrients in the endosperm. So that's why it's important to eat the whole grain. The whole grain contains more fiber, vitamins, and minerals. And some of the examples of whole grains are, if you look on the ingredients, you'll see whole grain flours, corn, oatmeal, popcorn, whole wheat, brown rice, whole wheat pasta, whole grain breads, and whole grain cereals. Now, this is another tricky thing. The only way you can tell is if you're eating a whole grain is if the first ingredient on the ingredient list says whole grain flour, whole grain, whole wheat, whatever. So you got to look at that, because the reason it's the first ingredient is because the ingredients on the label are listed in order from the largest to the smallest. And so when you're buying, don't be tricked by things that say multi-grain or 12 grain or whatever, because those aren't necessarily whole grain foods. And my favorite whole grain is popcorn. I can't tell you how much popcorn I've eaten during this period of weight loss, but I've eaten a lot. The American Heart Association recommends that you eat 3 or more servings of whole grain per day. So that could be anything, 1 piece of bread is a serving, an ounce of cereal, a half a cup of cooked whole grain cereal or brown rice, a half a cup of whole wheat pasta, or 3 cups of popcorn. So see, you're eating the popcorn, you get a lot more of it. The main importance in whole grains is the fiber, and especially with heart health, because there are 2 different types of fiber. One of the fibers helps you with digestion, so it makes you regular. And the other type of fiber actually plucks cholesterol out of your bloodstream and helps your body eliminate it. Oatmeal has both types of fiber, so you're going to get a double benefit. Not only are you going to get the benefit of the cholesterol, but it's also going to help your digestive system as well. Very important, whole grains. Okay, so talking about budgeting, when you're cooking at home, you can save a lot of money because if you are able to cut foods like vegetables, whole chicken, fish, any of that type of thing, when you buy things in their whole form in the store, for example, baby carrots cost more than whole carrots do. And that's just a convenience. And, you know, people always ask me, well, which is better? Well, it depends on what your goal is. If your goal is, if you're very busy and you really need the convenience of buying convenience items, then by all means do that. If you're trying to be healthier or trying to save money, then the whole foods are a better way to go. For example, if you know how to cut up a whole chicken versus buying chicken breasts, or if you want to buy chicken breasts versus chicken strips, you know, the little cut up, pre-cut, obviously the more that is done to them before they get to you, the more it's going to cost. Whole cantaloupe or pineapple versus cut up fruit, whole garlic versus minced garlic in a jar. I'm a huge fan of the minced garlic in a jar. I'm not going to lie to you, because a lot of times if I buy whole garlic, I forget it's in the house and then it goes bad before I have a chance to use it. But, you know, again, it just depends on what your goal is. All right, so that was not too bad, was it? The whole PowerPoint. All right, I'm going to stop sharing. And does anybody have any questions so far? You can either put them in the chat or you can shout them out loud. Okay, well, again, don't be afraid to ask questions. And we're going to do a little set change here. We're going to go over to where the food is. Lacey was trying to help me. I was trying to get the iPad I was using to silence, and that didn't work out. So instead, I'm going to be using my laptop, and let's see, we're going to set it over here so you can see what I'm doing. That's a big bowl in the way. All right, so the first recipe that we're making today is called quick chicken fajitas. And I'll make sure that I send Lisa these recipes so that you can have them if you're interested in making them yourself. So for the quick chicken fajitas, we're going to be using white onion. It's a nice looking onion. And some bell peppers. And let's see, some chicken. And then we're also going to make an easy pico de gallo. I don't know how familiar you are with pico, but we're going to start. I'm going to be moving you around a little bit. Sorry, I hope no one gets motion sick from this. Okay. So we're going to spray our pan. I'm using some olive oil spray. And I'm heating up the stove right now, but the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cut up. I've got a lot of this stuff pre-cut already, but I didn't cut up the stuff for the fajitas because I wanted to show you, in case you've not made fajitas before. We've taught this class a lot of times, and we always have groups who cut, you know, dice things or whatever. And for fajitas, you don't want things diced up too small. You want to have nice pieces that'll fit into your wrap. So I just sliced that up, and now I'm just going to cut all the pieces in half so that you'll have, you know, some pieces that will go in the wrap. All right. Now I better cut the rest of that up. I'm actually cooking this dinner for my family tonight, and they'll be really happy when they get home, and dinner's already finished. I know that makes me happy when somebody cooks dinner and I get home and it's ready to go. It always smells really nice. You walk in the house and there's some good cooking happening on the inside. All right. Now we're going to do the same thing with the peppers. Move a few things around here. And by the way, one ingredient in the pico is cilantro, and everybody does not love cilantro. I have learned that, and that's fine. And it's, you know, it's not just a matter of people not trying to eat cilantro. It's a genetic predisposition. To some people, it tastes like soap. And so if you're one of those people, turn my heat down a little bit here. If you're one of those people, then, you know, don't let people beat you up over the cilantro, because it's just either you like it or you don't. Okay, so we're gonna do our peppers the same way we did the onions. All right. See, those are nice little strips too. If we were in this class, this is actually a 10-week class, and it's wonderful. It's a great class. And the people in the class all cook too. So it's not just an interesting class or helpful, but it's fun too. But if we were doing this in class, everybody would be cooking. And I wish you all were here with me cooking together. And I hope that in the fall we can start back up cooking together. So we will see.
Hey, Gina, this is Lacey. I have a quick question. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, cool. So I know last year you joined us for food preservation, and as you're chopping these, it's making me think that perhaps this is something that you could do ahead of time, like really make this stuff in bulk maybe and freeze your fajitas to just grab and go. Is that something you would recommend?
Oh yeah, because you're going to cook the peppers and the onions. You know, I would say that if you were going to use them at the ends, for example, if you're cook your chicken and nothing else and you just put everything on there afterwards, I would not recommend that, because they're going to be kind of smushy. But since we're cooking the onions and peppers, absolutely, that would be super easy. You can freeze it all. And actually, the thing I like about freezing is you can freeze it in portion sizes. And so you could put it all together, all your peppers, your onions, and you could say, all right, well, here's our quick chicken fajita vegetables that we're going to put in there all together. So yeah, absolutely. That's a great idea. All right. So I don't know what, this is also a knife skills lesson. We're not going to talk about all that. I'm trying to incorporate it. Okay. So we've got our heat on medium high. And the first thing we're going to add is our chicken. Go ahead and put you back over here again. Let's move this stuff out of the way. All right, I did cut the chicken ahead of time because I didn't want to worry about cross-contaminating and all that. All right, since this is on medium high, we're going to stir the chicken around some to make sure. I think I lost all my pan. We're going to put a little bit more in there. But you want to make sure that your chicken doesn't burn. So we're going to move it around a little bit. Cooking spray is a great way to cut down on calories and fat. You can use that to lube up your pan instead of butter. And that's a great way to start on that. All right. We're just going to cook this until it's brown, which is just cooked on the outside. I need a fork to flip some of these over. All right. That one almost flipped right out of the pan. And I hope you can see, it's probably a little hard to see, but everything is browning up really nicely. That's probably about the best you're going to get. Right. So as I mentioned, we're not going to be using any salt in this recipe, although in the class that we normally teach, everyone got to take home a meal for 4 people after they had cooked it. And I'm sure that a lot of people went home and added salt to it. But, you know, that's fine. I'm not the food police. And I have learned in my life, it seems like it's longer and longer all the time. I have learned that until you're ready to improve your health or lose weight or whatever your goal is, you're just not going to do it. So there's no use in, I can teach you about it and then I can hope that you'll do it. But again, you know, sometimes it's easy when you start making small changes, and this cooking with less salt is a easy, quick change that you can make. And again, you know, you don't have to go salt free all at one time. Just try to reduce your sodium in order to make yourself a little healthier. All right, so as you can see, it's getting good and brown here. Okay, I just noticed my recipe said to cover, so I'm going to run and get a lid really quick and I'll be right back. All right, it's looking great. My family's going to be pretty happy when they see this tonight, I'm sure. All right, so now we're going to reduce the heat a little bit down to about medium. And we're going to add in our soy sauce. I even bought you all brand new soy sauce. Okay, let's see, how much soy sauce are we putting in? 1 tablespoon. All right. So here we go, adding the tablespoon of soy sauce. Okay, looking good. I like to move the chicken around a little bit to make sure that we get soy sauce all over it all. Okay, then we're going to add our peppers and onions. One thing about this dish that I like is it's pretty, you know, and again, like I mentioned, we eat with our eyes first. Okay, so we're going to stir that around just a little bit. We're on medium. Okay, now we're going to cover it, and I'm going to cover it with a pan. No, I'm not. All right, good. So we're going to let that cook and we'll come back to it. All right, as I mentioned before, the next dish that we're going to make is pico de gallo. I don't have any idea what pico de gallo means, but it's going to be delicious. I use this recipe a lot, actually. We use it for lots of different things, not just this recipe, but you know, you can put it on your eggs. You can do so many things with it. All right, so our pico is going to take one. I actually am making more than one recipe. So there's our diced tomatoes, and diced just means small pieces. See? Put those in. Okay. And then we're going to add in, I chose a white onion for the chicken fajitas, but I chose a red onion for the pico. I really like the flavor of red onion. It seems to add a lot of flavor to things. Okay. And next we're going to add a jalapeno. I've already cut it up. Now, you can do a lot of different things with jalapeno. If you prefer spicier, then you might want to try to leave the seeds in. You just want to take out the kind of white fleshy part out of it. And I'm going to add this in. Actually, I think we've got time. I'm going to go ahead and cut up another jalapeno. Show you how to do that real quickly. All right, so I just cut the end off and I slice it to make two pieces that will just cut in half. And this is the little fleshy part I was talking about. You want to kind of cut that out of there. And you can always add the seeds in. I think I'll add a few seeds in. My family, we are pepperheads. We love spicy foods. All right, and then it's really simple from there. You just cut it in little thin strips. And then cut those strips into little pieces. When I shop, I usually shop for hot jalapenos. These are, it says the everyday pepper with just the right amount of heat. I love when I find them in bags like this, because apparently we use a lot of them. I also like pickled jalapenos. You can put those in the pico if you wish, if you prefer that flavor. Okay, so we've got our jalapeno all cut up. I'm gonna add that to the bowl. All right, so look, so far it's very beautiful, very colorful. Again, we eat with our eyes, so it's important that our eyes are pleased with what we're getting. All right, the next thing we're gonna put in, I'm gonna put a quarter cup. I can find my quarter cup. Where did it go? There it is. I'm going to put a quarter cup of lime juice in. You can use lemon juice if you prefer, but I don't know, something about lime juice seems to go better with pico. All right, so put that in there. Then it calls for 2 tablespoons of cilantro. I've already cut that up. If you're not familiar with cilantro, it comes in a bunch. It looks a lot like parsley. And I'm going to put that in there. All right. And then we're going to add a minced garlic clove. I actually minced about 3 garlic cloves because I love garlic. Go ahead and put that in there. All right. And then we're going to use just a little bit of pepper. I doubled this recipe. It calls for 1/8 of a teaspoon. We're going to use 1/4 of a teaspoon. I'm a big fan of the coarse ground pepper. I just feel like the powdered pepper does not really have any taste. And I mean, that is it. I mean, that is literally all. You just mix that around. And of course, like most things, the longer you let it sit, the better it ends up tasting, because those flavors all marry together. And so here's what the final result looks like. It's very beautiful, very flavorful. and it's got a lot of nice color to it. Okay, I should have done this already, but I did not. I'm going to add the cumin. I'm going to turn this back around here, back to the stove. This recipe actually called for cumin and pepper, and I did not put it in there. Okay, that is hot. I need a Okay, so it calls for half a teaspoon of cumin, which I'm going to throw in there, and half a teaspoon of pepper. I'm using 2/4 because that's the one I was using. All right. And this is really looking nice. Getting a little bit of char on those peppers and onions. And on the chicken. Once you make this a couple times, you'll get used to the heat setting. I cook on gas at home, and so I always find it very difficult to get the right temperature on electric. But I think that you're gonna really like the look of this. Let me hold up the pan for you to see. Yeah, so it's really beautiful. It smells amazing. I wish you could be here and smell it too. Turn that off. The induction cooker is very handy. Ooh, that was hot. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off here and let the stove cool down some. All right. Okay, and then we're going to have our meal on a plate. And we're going to use, you can use any type of wrap that you like. When we started trying to lose weight, I found that these flour tortillas, the soft taco size, have 150 calories. And then I started using the carb balance ones. They were only like 75, I think, or 70. And then I found a brand that only has 50 calories, and you can see it right there. Maybe you can see it. And so the way you would serve this is just to put some of the food. Oh, good. The stove went off and we can hear now. I'm not a huge green pepper fan myself. My family really likes them. So this recipe is pretty much good for everybody. And then you'll finish that off with a little bit of the pico. So you have the hot, and then you add the pico to it. Some things out of the way here. And it makes for a really beautiful plate. Okay, and look at that. It's pretty amazing. And let's see if it tells me the nutrition facts. It tells me that this is going to be about $2.41 per serving. If you have a garden, it's obviously going to be a lot less than that. And my recipe does not have the nutritional information, but when you get it, I'll make sure that you have that as well. All right, so again, here's the final product. If you like beans, you could put black beans in it. There are a lot of things you could add or take away. Like I mentioned, if you don't like cilantro, then you don't want to put the cilantro in the dish, and that's fine. Does anybody have any questions at this point? I think I would maybe when I get home, I've got a few either grape or cherry tomatoes I might add in there too, just to add a little extra on the tomato side. Oh, come on, somebody's got a question.
Well, I don't have a question, but just a thought. I like this recipe because it seems like it's very adaptable. You can kind of just pilfer and see what you have. We grow a lot of shiitake mushrooms, so I would definitely
Oh,
saute some mushrooms and throw those in there. But that looks
oh yes. That would be amazing. I love mushrooms. We made kebabs on the grill last night, and I mean, they were absolutely ridiculously good. But yeah, you're right. I mean, you can really, if you want to put jalapenos in there and you want to make it a little spicier, or if you want to add different spices, if you want to leave things out that you don't really like that much, I mean, that is absolutely 100% up to you. I like recipes like that too, as you mentioned, that are adaptable because I also like things that you can assemble before you eat it. So we eat a lot of chicken wraps, with build your own kind of deal, because we don't all love all the same things. And that way, if I want to put pineapples in mine, I can, and my husband can make retching noises just to get on my nerves. He's not a huge fan of cilantro, but it's not that it tastes like soap. I don't know, he always says, "Oh, there's the soap," but then he tells me it doesn't taste like soap. So who knows? He's my husband. You know how they are. But it's a really healthy meal. It's very filling. So you don't. I guess for me, I have to feel like I'm not being denied anything in order to make this whole healthy eating thing work for me. Because if it was all, like the Atkins diet, you eliminate carbs. And we don't ever advocate for eliminating an entire food group from your repertoire, because every food that you eat has some important reason that you're eating it. And really, you're better to reduce your portions, reduce your sodium, and reduce your fat than you are to just eliminate a whole food group. Anyone else?
wise words. And I like that you're going to be sending out the recipe. My experience is just having a plan is like 90% of the battle. So like having some go-to ideas of, okay, this is what I'm going to do this week. I've already got this
Mhm.
stuff in my garden. So I appreciate you sharing those with us, and any other resources that you can think of, especially when it comes to like the seasonality of what we're harvesting and what some good recipes might be to support that. Because most of us are just kind of tried and true. Like, we eat what we eat because we've always eaten it.
That's what
So
everyone does.
yeah, I love having some new ideas. And so I'll kind of pose this challenge to the group then. I would love to see how you guys take Gina's recipe or maybe something different and prepare it, add some of your own flair and tweaks, and then share it with our group on our Facebook chat. I think that would be really, really cool to see how you guys would adapt this recipe or something similar at home.
Well, and I'll make you all a deal. If you'll let me join your Facebook group, I'll share recipes with you.
Oh, we will send you an invite.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, that was a good point too. Actually, when you were talking about preparing things ahead of time, last week, I will tell you that this is true for just about everybody. The less prepared you are, the less healthy you eat. And so last weekend, we went to the grocery store. I mean, we were dead dog tired. That was the day we planted our garden. And I said, we can't not go to the grocery store. We're going to have to do this. So we went and bought all kinds of things of romaine lettuce and all these different vegetables. And, I made like a sliced onion container, a diced onion container. We cut up peppers. We made pico. I mean, just so many things. And that made the whole week so much easier. I mean, I can't even tell you because, well, like tonight, I'm working until we'll say 7-ish. I'll get home about 7:30, but luckily tonight I'll have a meal ready, but sometimes that doesn't happen. We've also been buying the pre-made turkey breasts and slicing those up. So if you're really in a pinch, you can eat a turkey sandwich or whatever. But yeah, we've figured out a lot of little tricks like you're talking about, like preparing ahead, having, even if you cut up all your celery, your carrots, your onions and all that kind of stuff, then it makes making dinner a lot easier, a lot quicker, and a lot more enjoyable.
Well, does anyone have any other questions for Gina? Thoughts, reflections? So one other thing that I'll mention before I give my final harp about send us your harvest log. So Gina referenced cutting up a chicken a couple of times in tonight's presentation. Park will actually be harvesting chickens on the farm here tomorrow, starting at 8 a.m. If anyone's interested in seeing how that process happens, you're more than welcome to come and observe or get your hands dirty and learn how to process pastured poultry. So if anybody's interested, just shoot me a message.
Great idea. We raised 200 last year, and that was the other crazy thing we did. And I would not raise 200 again. We have a meat business too. So we have a primarily beef business, but we were also selling chickens and some pork and different things like that. By the way, I just got the low battery warning. So I'm going to walk you in my office. But I cannot tell you how wonderful it's been to have all that chicken. We had an Amish guy in Mason County process everything for us, and we did half the chickens as whole chickens, and we did half the chickens.
Oh, it looks like we lost her. She didn't make it to her charger fast enough. So just quickly, we'll see if she's able to pop back on, but how's everyone's garden looking? Anybody want to share an update or a report? Good, bad, or ugly? Lori, I see you. You're at the top of my screen. So tell us how your garden's looking.
It's doing good. The weeds are growing too, though. That's the bad part. Had planned on tilling it the other day and more rain. So I'm thinking Wednesday, maybe Thursday, that's tomorrow, I guess, that I could possibly get in there and till it before the weeds get out of control. The green beans are doing awesome. They've grown quite a bit and doing the trellising thing. So I'm happy to see that. All the tomatoes are getting blooms, but everything's looking really good. So awesome. I'm happy about it.
Great. Tara, you're next on my screen. How's your garden looking? I don't know if she can hear me. What about you, Cassandra? Shayla? Anybody here?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Hold on. Can you turn, how do I turn my video on? I want to start video though. Okay. So Chelsea's here too, by the way.
Hi, Chelsea.
Hello. So we're being nerds.
Wow.
This beginner, and we're having
you want to go ahead?
You can go first.
Okay. My garden is doing okay right now. I actually have some cherry tomatoes coming up. They're actually already on there and things, but my strawberries did well. My peas, on the other hand, did not do so hot, but I got some broccoli coming in and my lettuce heads, so I'm excited about that.
Great. That's awesome.
So all of my stuff is very, like, I guess, young still, because I didn't get anything in the ground quick enough, I don't think, this year, because of the baby.
Yes.
Everything is planted but sweet potatoes, and me and Chelsea, neither one have planted those yet. We haven't planted our sweet potatoes.
Yeah, I think it's changed since you guys got them. So,
but yeah, everything's good. I'm really excited and just waiting to see what happens. I do have peas, not a lot, and I literally cooked some for Chelsea just now. If you can see them, purple and green peas.
Oh, fun.
But yeah, so
awesome. Well, thanks for the update. It looks like Gina is back with us.
All right. Well, thank you all so much. Like I said, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. The instant I plugged my computer in, it shut down. Oh, what a day. But I'm glad that I could join you all today, and I appreciate you all joining me. So if you have any other questions, I think both, I don't know. Let's see. Lacey, do you know how to, yeah, you emailed me.
Uh-huh.
Lacey and Lisa both know how to get in touch with me. I'll be happy to answer any questions. If you have canning questions or if you want recipes or whatever, just let me know.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Gina. I know you've had a long day, so we won't keep you any longer. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. My last request is turn in those harvest logs. Please, please, please. You can do it in any form or fashion that you want to. Text us, email us. They'll use the form we gave you. Mail it if you want to. Post it in our group chat. I think that's also kind of cool. Right now, Dawn is crushing it. She's had quite the harvest on her peas and strawberries. So I'm excited to see the numbers as the potatoes and the tomatoes and the beans start coming in. So thanks, everybody. I will shoot out an email when our next allocation is coming up, but we are going to take July off from meetings, and then we'll resume in August and September. So
Lacey, I have one more question. It's Shayla.
go for
Okay, sorry. So when do we actually have to have, so like if we wanted to plant a fall garden, can you guys turn that in, or when do you guys stop taking records?
Absolutely. Yeah, we can continue to record through the end of the year. So anything that you're harvesting throughout 2021, we can include in our report. So just as you, I think the best method is as you bring it in, send us those numbers. That allows us to not be like overwhelmed, you guys trying to keep up and go back and guess what you harvested, but just try to get into a practice of your scales or your bags or somewhere near your door entrance or your garden entrance or your shed, whatever you have, and just weigh it as you bring it in, or guess. It doesn't have to be exact. And just text it right in our group. That's probably the easiest way to do that, or send an email, whatever you want to do.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Question. All right, guys. Well, we are about right at the 7 o'clock mark, so I'll let everyone go and enjoy their dinner. Gina, thanks again. We appreciate you as always. I'm sure we'll be reaching out again next year to bring you back.
All right, great. Thank you all.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye-bye.